Hi, everybody, and welcome back to season four. Um, this is episode one, kind of like what's your style? But before we get to that, here's what's happening on the farm. So I think we're in the midst of winter that just won't give up. Um, Yesterday we had some, I guess they call it like grapple, like little teeny sleet. People that were north of us or people that were west of us got snow, like 5 or 6 inches of snow for mid-April after, the Monday after Easter. I mean, this is really, really weird. And it's unseasonably cold. We're having freeze warnings every morning for this week, I think. And it's just really cold and damp. Um, you know, all of our fruit trees have been in bloom, and Bill is itching to get his plants into the ground. But in reality, the freeze date is Mother's Day, which this year is May 8th. So I guess we still have to expect that we may be getting some more freezes. I just hope we don't get any more snow. It's just been a little bit much. So this is season four, and this season is going to be all about what I've been thinking about for a while now. I think a couple of years. When I first heard about the book Fiber Shed by Rebecca Burgess. And it wasn't until I read that book that I came to realize just what a problem our fashion industry has become. It is responsible for so much environmental damage, biological damage. It uses extreme amounts of petrochemicals. It is creating an exploding garbage crisis all over the world. And it really is causing a perpetuation of poverty, again, all over the world because of low wages and abominable work conditions. So there has to be something that we can do to help our planet, but also help ourselves, and just to be more mindful about our fashion industry. And so, as a fiber farmer, I feel like I am working to try to fix the system, but I know that I am just a very small, small, small part of any change that can happen. So this season, we're going to explore what our clothing and textiles, I can say it, what our clothing and textile choices are doing to the world, and how to take steps, or what are some steps we can take to fix this in our own small ways. If each of us does one thing or two things or three things, we can really change the world. And that's where I'm coming from. I know that this is a huge problem, and it isn't something that um, can be fixed overnight, but it is something that each of us in our own way can do to make our world a better place. So, like, where do we even begin? Because it is such a giant program and a giant problem. And so each week or each episode, I'll be coming up with some ideas. I'll be giving you some information and coming up with ideas of things that we can do to fix this. So, changing our wardrobe from fast fashion to slower, more sustainable fashion is a process. It cannot happen overnight. Like I said, I've been looking at it for 2 years, and there are some things in my closet that I'm kind of like, what am I going to do with this? Because it does have plastic in it. It's not like I can just put it into the landfill. I really shouldn't. So then what do I need to do? So it's asking yourself questions about that. Some choices that we make are quick. You can commit to buying natural fibers from now on, buying cotton, buying linen, if you and buying wool, um, and buying hemp if you can find it as well. And if you, another thing that you can take a commitment to that is a very small thing is to start washing your clothes in cold water. And also to have more wearings per item of clothing per wash. So instead of wearing your jeans once and washing them, wear them a few times before you wash them, and that will reduce the problem that we'll be talking about, the microplastics that come out of our clothes into our wash and then into our water systems. Again, we'll be delving into these things all season long. Some choices may be take a bit longer. For instance, if you are a maker, and I think a lot of you are, consider making a more local garment, like making a sweater out of wool from a farm like ours that has farm yarn. And you can make it in a natural color, like a white or a gray or a brown, or you can look for those people like myself who are doing natural dyeing as well, that has a lower impact on the environment. So in the past couple years, I have really, where I had wanted to start was to consider my style, because I'm kind of at this crossroads right now. And then I wanted to go forward from there. And you may not have to do that. I just know that I have quashed my style based on my jobs in the past and the present. And a lot of my clothes that are in my closet no longer feel like they fit my style. Um, so I am working towards replacing things, getting rid of some of those things, gifting, donating them if they are still wearable, finding other ways to use them that we'll talk about if they aren't still wearable, and then building a wardrobe that jives more with my inner style. So, yeah, I've been thinking about my clothing choices for a long time, and I realized that my style really ebbed and flowed throughout the years. As when I was in my 20s and my 30s, I definitely had a bohemian style. I wore a lot of Moroccan clothes. I had vintage cowboy boots. I wore large, chunky jewelry. I had rings on every finger. And it was my look. I very rarely wore pants. I mostly wore skirts. And maybe I had leggings on underneath, which is coming back, you guys. It's coming back. When I worked in the hospitals, or then when I worked as a public school teacher, I felt I had to change my style to reflect professionalism. And I kind of missed my bohemian self. Sometimes I would become that bohemian self on the weekends, but sometimes it was just easier to throw on jeans and a t-shirt. As a fiber farmer, and now during the pandemic, I've really reverted to jeans and t-shirts, or leggings and t-shirts. I think slippers. I've been wearing shoes in the past 2 years, except when we go to fiber festivals. And there I let my bohemian flag fly, because there it's like, hey, this is who I am deep down inside, and that's who I want to show the world. I'm not going to wear my nice bohemian type clothing while I'm dyeing. I still need to wear jeans or t-shirts or leggings or something, dye appropriate clothing. But I can go back to my bohemian style as much as possible. And I know that my future clothing choices will reflect this. They already have started to reflect this, and it will become more and more. When I was a kid, I did a lot of sewing of my own clothes, and I am starting to look at that as another viable option, because I'm not finding the things that I would like to wear that have a more classic style. and something that you can wear for a long period of time and take care of your clothes so that they do last. Um, so what's your style? Do you dress to your true style inside? Are you like a classic dresser, or that, maybe you wear suits to work? Or are you mostly comfortable in jeans and a button-down shirt? Do you love dresses? Do you hate dresses? What is it that's truly your style? There's a whole bunch of clothing style quizzes on the web, and I had fun taking a couple of them, but I don't feel like I can recommend any particular one just because most of them are associated with a brand and you have to give them your email address. And I'm not going to advocate that. I don't feel right about that, but it's something that you can definitely Google clothing style quiz and find something. It was really fun to do that. And did it give me anything that I didn't know about? Not really. I mean, I knew that I was more um, bohemian in style, although I probably would have called it more like arty. But they more than one site called it bohemian, so I'll go with that. And so each episode, I am going to be giving a call to action. And this is a short episode to kind of bring us into this whole idea of what's your style. So, if you choose, your call to action will be to go through your closet, purge the things that aren't your style anymore. Also, during that time, pay attention to what your clothes are made of. How many items do you have that are made of natural fibers? And how many items have plastic in them? And so when I'm saying plastics, I'm saying anything that says polyester, nylon, spandex, latex, um, those kind of fibers are going to be your plastics. Anything that's a natural fiber would be, it says wool, it says cotton, it says hemp, it says linen. And then you have those man-made fibers that are rayon, tencel, bamboo, nylon, acrylic. I would probably put acrylic into the plastic category. I think that they should be in the plastic category. So add that in there. Donate those clothes that still have life, the ones that are not torn, the ones that are not stained, the ones that still have a life to them. Nobody wants to wear your old torn clothing. So don't give that to Goodwill, because what happens is that anything that isn't something that Goodwill or Salvation Army or those kind of places, anything that isn't something that they can sell out of their stores, they're going to be sending it either to the landfill directly, or they're going to be sending it to other countries where there's a secondhand clothing um, economy, which again, that's another topic that we'll be talking about during this season. So please only donate the clothes that still have life in them. Put your torn and stained items aside, put them in a bag, and set them aside for another purpose, because we'll be talking about that in a later podcast, things that we can do so that we get the most usage out of those textiles before they go into the landfill. Because we really want to perpetuate, using it to the very last second of its life before we put it into the trash, because those items cannot be composted, which is what I did not say about the natural fibers. Again, we'll be talking about this in more detail, but the whole point of having natural fibers in your wardrobe is that if they're 100% cotton, 100% hemp, 100% wool, 100% linen, you can wear them until you're wearing those out as well. And then you can put them in your compost pile. They're a great source of nitrogen and carbon, and you can make, they will be totally compostable. So again, thinking about the system of soil to soil, those natural fibers were raised from the soil, either because they're plants and they're grown, or because the animals were eating the grass that was grown. They are made into the fibers are made into textiles. You wear them, and then at the end of their life, you can put them back in the soil to provide the nutrients again to the soil. So put any of those things that are torn or stained, that are made with plastics or man-made fibers, into another place, put them in a bag, and we'll talk about what we can do with those in a later podcast. So, just as with every other podcast we've done, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear if you've heard about the slow fashion movement. I'd love to hear if you've heard about FiberShed. And if you're local, Chesapeake FiberShed will have a table at Maryland Sheep and Wool. So be sure and stop by, get information, see some of the things that are grown in our area. And until we meet again, either in person or on this podcast, happy making.